Hey everybody, welcome to FDI Takeover. I'm Alex Smith.
And I'm Karen Ryan. Welcome to this episode of Breakthroughs. Today we will be talking about breaking through different aspects in your life to help unleash those chains that are holding you back. This platform is an amazing space for you to feel safe and for you to inquire on different topics that we've gone through. So we're just here to bring an elevation into your life through mental health wellness, along with taking care of yourself. So Alex, it's been quite a while since we've gotten together. This is our first episode of our second season, 2024.
Right, where it's just you and I solo. If you haven't checked out the other two episodes that we've released from this episode with other guests, definitely check them out. Burnout culture was one of them. Overcoming insecurities was another one of them. So we're really excited to be one-on-one today to talk through a really important topic around what does it mean to have a breakthrough. And there's many different versions of that. But before we get into it, let's go back to our mission statement. Freaking do it.
Yes.
Why have we decided to even do this podcast? Karen and I have come together on a lot of commonalities around wanting to empower people to live their truest, most authentic self that they can be. And we oftentimes are hearing from a lot of you all that there's this desire, there's this yearn to change, there's this, dream to become, but there's this delta between us just taking the leap and just doing it, right? And doing the actions, and the attunement will typically follow. So I'm really excited to be back one-on-one with you. And why don't you start off with an introduction to just about yourself for anybody that's new, that's watching. Would love for you to learn more about who Karen Ryan is.
Yes, absolutely. So I am truly an affiliate of the Mental Wellness Company. And what that means is, as a mental health advocate, I just want to bring to the world that your mental health is very important. And the way you think about yourself, the way you speak about yourself, the words that, just come out of your mouth about yourself really hones into the entity of who you are. And today's, there's so much brought on with social media. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. But for myself, I just claim myself to be a mental health advocate. There's many other entities that I do that everybody knows I'm a serial entrepreneur, and you can follow me on Inspired by Karen _ for some positive feedback. But I truly believe that this world needs to hear what we have to say and freaking do it. Just if there's something you want to do, you want to write a book, you want to start a business, you want to break out of a relationship, your family's driving you crazy, and you just want to get away. It's so important to know that the only person that can change you is you. And as humans, we're constantly evolving. So there's been a lot of involvement in our own personal health, mine and Alex's as well. And we're always working on ourselves. And there's one point I want to just kind of edge out here for a second. We want other people to like us, right? But we need to really like and own our entity of who we are and stop changing ourselves.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing just a little bit about your passion for mental health advocacy. That's really why we came together to start this podcast. We are not licensed clinical therapists. We are not here to prescribe or to give anybody any sort of diagnosis. We are big therapy advocates. We have gone through this long, hard journey of understanding what it means to address some of our own mental health challenges. And so on this podcast, we just hope to inspire you to discover what that means to you through the different topics that we'll discuss. And just a little bit about me. So
yes.
It's been a little while since we checked in and gave intros. If you watched the first season, I feel like I was almost a different person at that point, which is exciting.
We both were.
Exactly. And so I, recently went all in on my own business, and it's been super successful so far as launching it goes. And it's definitely been the most humbling experience that I have ever had. And it's totally transformed my entire life and the way that I view things, and, the people that I need to surround myself with, the partners that I'm considering, right? Everything changed overnight when I really started to put the pedal down on what I want to do in this world and the dream life that I want to create. And so, other than that, I obviously love to sing. I'm a singer. I got to get more stuff out there. Big yoga, breathwork, meditation person. I also teach those things. And so we're just excited to bring, a breadth of knowledge to this group of our experiences. So let's jump into the topic.
Let's jump right into it. So the topic for today is breakthroughs. So what does that mean? When Alex and I were coming up with the title for this episode, breakthrough, like breaking through the trajectory of getting stuck through social media and the filters that we put on ourselves. So everybody on social media is scrolling and looking and wanting to do this and wanting to do that. Again, FDI, freaking do it. If you want to do something, own up on it and go for it. And today's social media, in my opinion, people are trying to slim themselves down, cover themselves up, trying to be somebody who they aren't. But the true authentic self starts in the heart and in your mind. And going back to yoga and breath work, just taking a few breaths in and a few breaths out, coming back to center. And if you want to be like somebody, then just freaking do it.
Yes.
Find out what those avenues are going to be for you and how you have to study that a little bit for yourself and how you don't have to change yourself for anybody, but keep evolving and changing for who you are.
We're going to go down so many different layers of breakthrough. When her and I started talking about this topic, we started to peel back so many of the layers. Yeah. The first obvious place that we thought of was breaking through the filters that are on social media, because we see people portraying a lifestyle that is literally a facade of what we think other people are going to like.
Absolutely.
It is not real in the sense of what is your day-to-day, what is your reality, what does your inside look, where are your dreams, right? And so I think that with this generation too that's younger, I worry so much when you look at the statistics around what social media is really doing for that generation and how it's socially constructing a way that people should be. I fear that we're losing a sense of our own identity or just the opportunity to even discover what that actually is.
Absolutely, especially the younger generation. And I like how you said that. It's very important to look at yourself in the mirror. And I talked about this so many times. Just look at yourself in the mirror and just love the person that you are. And if you want to change something, change it. But the younger generation has that technology at their fingertips all the time, and it's constantly evolving. And I truly believe the way to evolve is evolving personally in your own personal development. If you have people in your life that are not giving you the same energy back, or you're putting more time in it than they are, it has to kind of be like a commonality of a 50-50 in any relationship, creating boundaries and being able to say no. That's one thing I really want to talk about, that it's okay to say no. If you're invited to a party and you really don't want to go, but you feel you have to go because people are expecting you to go there, their expectations, their wants, their wills for you are not really what you want. So why not put yourself in a good place and take that yourself and your energy and just hold on to it rather than expose it to the world, right? And I think that there's so many things that with, especially I did a lot of research, the ages between 12 and 17 years old, okay? Children between the age of 12 and 17, their screen time is insane, okay? You can actually, like you mentioned, look at your screen time on your phone and be able to turn it off or keep it on for a certain amount of time, and they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, but that's not, you're holding yourself in this this little world when there's so much more out there for you to expand and grow and learn on yourself.
I want to double down on something that you said earlier around doing things that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So when you think about the moment of what an actual breakthrough is, breakthroughs are glorified moments that signal a real course of change, right? That's how I would define it in my experiences and in my life. But what we're not really surfacing yet until now is that it is a ugly and oftentimes a really tough process, because it means most of the time when we have a breakthrough that we have to hit rock bottom first in order for us to understand what actually needs to change. And the process can be really ugly. And so I want to encourage people that even though it's tough, even though it's ugly, to dig deep and figure out, who is this person that you want to become? Who is this person that you are portraying? Really having that conversation with yourself around what needs to go is the real signal for breakthroughs to be able to happen, whether it's with social media, whether it's within your relationships, whether it's realizing that this isn't the job that you want to do or the lifestyle that you want to live. And I think that's the heavy part that comes along with breakthroughs. What have been your experience with breakthroughs?
Oh, wow. Just on the word lifestyle, how do we want to live? So my expectation of the way that I want to live is a healthy lifestyle. And there's been many people, family, friends, work, the people that you surround yourself with, that just aren't in that healthy space or might be judging me for not being in a space that I should be in. So again, somebody else's expectations are not mine. Through experience in life, we meet many different people. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And the people that are really true to you, are your true friends. They're not judging you. They're not gossiping about you. They're not talking about you. And I think we get so entangled with what people think about us or who they think we are when it's a double-sided like coin, actually, right? I'm this person, but I'm acting like this person here. I'm this person, but I'm being somebody else. And I read another article on changing who you are to almost like chameleonize yourself, one of my homemade words, to be somebody else, right? Like you're at a party and you're just like, hey, life's great, everything's wonderful. Really, you're hiding back your feelings, right? Or you're changing to be like that group that you're with. And the real true breakthrough comes through when you really finally realize you don't want to live a fake life. You don't want to be fake. You want to be real. And in my experiences, I've been detaching and letting go and firing people. I talk about it all the time. I'm the CEO of my life. I can hire people into my life and I can fire them. And I say that with a lot of light and love. I want no negativity, nobody being fake, nobody being judgmental or talking about me. But I can't control what they think of me, but I can control who enters into my life.
I think that's really strong what you said, because I think a lot of people struggle with the hiring and firing of people in their life, right? Especially if we're going to talk about family. That is a whole other topic too. But we can all remember a time where we were completely infatuated with somebody that we were dating, right? And we looked past red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag, whether they have challenges with addiction, whether their lifestyle is, a little bit extreme or whatever it may be, right? We're so enamored with this person, time passes, and then we look back and we're like, wow, what was I thinking? Or we run into them or we see them and we're like, oh my gosh, I was so hung up on that person for a while. And then you have this moment of separation over a period of time. You come back to it and you realize, wow, what was I thinking, right? And these are like some of the breakthrough moments I think that we can identify with people that we've maybe dated in the past. Mm-hmm. But what's so interesting about what happens during that separation process that allows us to have that breakthrough or to see things in a different lens?
It's the ugly that you're talking about. There's an ugly part when you're disconnected in a relationship, let's say dating relationship, or even could be like a best friend relationship or someone who's really close to you or a family member. There's that ugly time in between where you're like, it's over. What am I going to do? It's the end of the world. How am I going to get on without this person? Why didn't they like me? You start second guessing yourself.
Doubting yourself.
Rejection. Lots of
shame.
Self-doubt.
All of those things come up during the process.
All of those things come up. And that's the ugly. So you have to get through it, right? So you get through that. And then it's another layer and another layer. And more time that passes is more time that you start to be alone and like almost, I don't want to say isolated, but you're kind of isolating yourself for your self-healing, and just becoming who you want to be and learning lessons from that past relationship. It's very important for us to remember that we can't make anybody happy but ourselves. And during that ugly period of letting go and separation and getting on to the next, whatever, looking back, what did I learn? What did I learn? That person was in my life. And also, guys, learning how to forgive. You have to forgive yourself. And you have to forgive the other person, whether it be work, personal, whatever it is. Forgive yourself and forgive them, and then nothing's latched onto you. That's a part of the breakthrough.
That is easier said than done. I know personally I can struggle with forgiveness, in a lot of different areas of my life. Specifically with certain family members, right, that I've had to lose touch with for my own mental health reasons. A lot of this is wrapped up in chaos and addiction and craziness. And so I struggle with this part of forgiving. I think we all want to be forgiving. I don't know that a lot of us know how to forgive. It's not like a light switch, right, where you're like, you want to know what? Today, I'm just going to give grace and I'm going to let all that shit go.
Yeah.
So it's different, right? So I personally have been, I would say that I recently had a breakthrough.
Yes.
And this sometimes is a really hard pill to swallow. But we're always reminded in these little ways, big or small, that we cannot change people.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking it's like an awakening, but it's taking accountability for yourself, for your mental health. Okay, breaking up in any relationship, when you can actually be accountable for yourself. How did I allow that? Why did I allow that? What did I learn? What did I get out of that? It's an accountability for yourself. Okay. And many people have never been to therapy before. Huge advocate of professional therapy, because you're not dumping on the ones that are close to you, but you're actually allowing yourself to speak freely to somebody who is licensed to help you dissect what's happening, what happened, and it's not your fault. I've been to many therapists in my life, and it always comes back to, Karen, it's not your problem. It's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not that I did anything wrong. It's the red flags that I saw that I allowed to just keep popping up until finally I have a breakthrough where I'm like, I don't want this anymore.
Right. And it's usually this big crashing point. And so realizing, for example, that we cannot change people comes this mourning process of saying that person isn't necessarily who I want them to be, but I need to forgive them and look at them in a different perspective and move on and let it go. We're so used to trying to manicure and control everything that's in our life, or we're doing what we think we should do, which is obviously influenced by a lot of the things that we see on social media. And so therefore, how might we get to a place where we're even discovering our identity or coming back to who we are, or shedding an old version and becoming a new?
This just hit me. Blocking people on a phone, blocking them on social media. When we get so upset and so angry, we don't want to speak to that person, we just block them. But what we're actually doing is we're blocking ourselves from the freedom of letting them go naturally. So it's easy to block someone. Now you have no more communication with them, right? Yes. But when you do block them, you think, oh, it's over. It's not, because you're still, you may be ruminating or thinking, different things about them. It's that quick block because you're angry because they upset you or they pissed you off somehow. But truly, blocking is blocking yourself from the healing. Blocking is blocking yourself from the forgiving.
That's a really good point. And we don't have to get so crazy in the blocking, because I definitely have my own personal thoughts about that too.
Sure.
But really, at the end of the day, you're just trying to make it easier on yourself to come to terms with a reality that you might not be ready to come to terms with, which is a heavy discussion. So on one end, we have breakthroughs as these like huge, amazing moments where our life changes and we're able to go into another direction. And then on the other hand, we have this turbulent process of accepting what's no longer for us and moving through it. And I think a lot of people right now are stuck in that in between of desire for change, desire for something different, but needing to let certain people, places, hobbies, bad habits, things go.
Absolutely.
And so what do you think would be a good tool for someone who is going through that process, whether they're shedding, realizing that they cannot do this scope of work any longer? They have an idea, or let's just say that they realize that this person that they've been friends with, who they feel very tied to, they need to let go because they're not healthy for them and they want a different lifestyle.
Honestly, it's spending time by yourself. And that's the bottom line, is spending time alone. I'm just going to go off on like one little point here. Some people say they can't go out to dinner alone. They can't go to the movies alone. They can't travel alone. If you can't do anything by yourself, you need to reassess there, because spending time alone with you is just giving yourself, you're staying within your own energy, learning, exploring things by yourself is such a beautiful thing, because you really get to know who you are. Personally, through many different points in my life, I've done everything. I've traveled alone, eat alone, but I vacation alone. It's been great. Went to Alaska alone. I think it's amazing. But to give yourself that grace and that courage. Come into this world alone, you're going to go out alone. So you might as well get to know who you are personally, so that when you know who you are, what you like, what you desire, what your expectations are of yourself is so important, because we can't expect more or want more from other people. And you have to hit rock bottom, and that's where the breakthrough comes, is when this isn't happening anymore. It could be anything. Like if someone dies, to be honest with you, somebody passes away, they're no longer here. So what do? You have to carry on. If you are in a relationship with friends, and I know we're women, but women could be really catty, really judgmental, really gossipy of each other. I personally have been through multiple friendships that I have just let go. It wasn't good for me. And then I went through a mourning process, a grieving process. It's almost like going through the funeral process of this no longer exists. But the breakthrough for me was I knew that I had to work on myself, and what I wanted was more important for my health.
It's a really good share. And I think that a lot of people can be encouraged by this conversation. So regardless of where you are in this process, just know that your feelings, you're not alone. If it's really hard right now, if it's really heavy as you're going through this process, just know that taking the first step is the most important part. The attunement will follow, and there is light on the other side. And I think that that's the big underlying message around why breakthroughs are so profound. But we have to talk about the in-between, because otherwise people would avoid these things. And I think a lot of people do. And that's why I think things get swept under the rug, or we stay in certain things for too long with people who are not for us. Work places that are not for us, jobs.
Fear holds people back, afraid, being fearful.
Do you think people are afraid of themselves?
They are afraid of themselves because they're afraid to be themselves, which then is the breakthrough of the filter that we're talking about. So if you're led by fear, there is no room for growth. You're stuck, okay? But when you let go of the fear, so we already know the present moment right now, right? We already know what happened in the past, but we have no idea what's happening in the future. That's where the anxiety comes from, and there's fear of, what if this, what if that, what are they gonna think, what should I do? Who knows? But when you're truly living in the present moment and you learn from the past, the breakthrough now is to just let life unfold in front of you.
And flow. And we have such a hard time doing that now with technology because we're so used to instant gratification. We're so used to 10 different channels where someone can reach out to us. So if we don't hear from someone, we're like, what's going on? You know, it's been 24 hours. It's like, wow, how about people are living their life, hopefully not on social media? You know, that's another big one. But I wouldn't say that that's the same for the younger generation right now.
So again, from the research that I did do, you know, especially after the pandemic, you know, this children from, you know, it could be any age, like parents, and I was guilty of it too, once technology came out, gave them an iPad, whatever. They're so focused in on that they're dissected away from being with people. So it's easy to get into your own space and hide yourself, or again, get down that rabbit hole of trying to be like somebody else. I think that this younger generation is up against a lot of challenges of communication, of being involved in activities and things that are more kind of like, they've been so isolated that it's almost harder to understand other people's feelings. And I think there's a little bit of, I don't know how to say, it's like a little bit of coldness to the way some people become. They don't even have empathy anymore, compassion. I think feelings are being withheld through anger. I know for a fact, one of my daughters is a teacher, and in her classroom, the kids are lashing out. Why are they lashing out? What's the deep root of this? You know, where's it stemming from? You know, I believe that parents have a definite role playing with how they're raising their children, but you can't blame your parents, okay? Because you get to a certain point where you have to have self-development skills. We're all human, and the basics in life, if they're covered, that's great, you know? So you just like need to like, I don't know, talk to people, but figure it out. You know, you need to like really take accountability for yourself.
I think that's what it is. So this reminded me of a very pivotal time in my life where I had a breakthrough around this person that I thought I wanted to become. And then I started becoming that person and realized, oh no, this cannot be it for me. And what was really interesting is, let's talk about the repercussions of if you don't have breakthroughs. So you can try to avoid yourself for as long as you can and not have the conversation with yourself in the mirror, not make the changes, continue to surround yourself with negativity or people that are not good for your health, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Or life is going to serve you a breakthrough. Life has a really interesting way, universe way, life's way, God's way, whatever you think, it has a way of serving you what you need when you need it. So I was working in New York City, and I got a job right out of college working for a high growth tech organization. This was like 14 years ago in New York City. First sales job, cutting my teeth, 100-person sales floor. You know, make 100 cold calls a day. Don't go below 80% of your goal or you're fired. Crazy, right? So I get in the mix. I'm in New York City. I'm the first and only college graduate from my family. So it's a big deal for me to go out there in the big city and make something of myself and make some money. And I know a lot of people feel this urgency to do so if you don't come from a wealthy family or you come from working class or low income family. So anyways, I'm out there, right? I'm doing this. I'm the top sales rep in the company consistently, month over month, quarter over quarter. And I work all day. I go out all night. I work out on E. I'm entertaining clients. I become a manager. I get promoted. I'm entertaining my team. And next thing you know, I'm living this hamster wheel where I'm making money and I'm living this lifestyle, but I'm completely empty inside and going, is this it?
Wow.
Is this it?
I love that. Running on E, and is this it? Is this is what my life's supposed to be?
But we often think like sometimes, we're chasing the bag, we're chasing the money so hard, but we realize
Absolutely not. It's
you get it. And then you're like, wait, that's it? There's got to be more to life, right? I didn't want to go and shop another weekend. I wanted to go and take this money and have a real experience that has some transformative change. And what was interesting about that is I was thinking about it, and I went to a trip to Brazil, and that really opened my eyes to a lot of other ways of operating. And I came back to the States and I said, okay, I got to rewire this and do something different. And so when I came back, what was interesting is that I was contemplating whether or not I was going to do this trip. And then I got really sick. There's nothing like a good sickness to give you a breakthrough on things that you should not be doing anymore for yourself. Your body literally tells you when it doesn't feel good or when it's not in a good situation. We don't listen to it enough. It's often a key component, I think, of a breakthrough.
Absolutely.
And I ended up having a flare up for my ulcerative colitis. I ended up getting diagnosed with precancerous cells in my uterus. This big moment of talking about having cancer potentially in my near future when I was a 26-year-old woman threw me to the ground as far as, breakthroughs go. And that is when I decided to focus on my health. So I quit my job. I sold my things. I went through all my health stuff that I needed to do. And then I bought a one-way ticket to Brazil and traveled solo for the year by myself, which was the best decision I've ever made. But it's interesting the way that life just serves you your breakthrough sometimes.
Absolutely.
Do you have an experience like that where life has just served you?
Gosh, yes. I mean, okay, where do I start?
Yeah.
How
much time do we have?
Yeah. How much time do we have? What? No, truly, I have moments in my life where I've had breakthroughs, but I can evolve myself from the age of maybe 15 to 21 during that time of being a teenager and having to go to work early, work and go to school to take care of my mom, and at the age of 17 having to still go to work, working 2 jobs and going to high school and then graduating. And I had a full paid scholarship to Columbia College. Okay, full paid scholarship on theater and communications and marketing. And at that time I thought, wow, this is great, and I was modeling and I was going out to New York, and then life served me. I was pregnant with my first child, right? So then I was still like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to be a model, and I'm going to take my baby, and we're going to do this. And then life served me again, and I was pregnant with my second child. So my life started to unfold. No college degree here, folks, just master degree of life. But from that point then, I was about 22 with my second child, and then pregnant again with my third. So I had this interesting life of being a young woman, but still an entrepreneur, still always hustling and working and figuring out, like, who am I? My identity changed. I lost Karen, and I became mom and a wife. And then in my 30s, during my divorce, I realized, okay, I'm a mom, still myself, but now I'm not a wife. So my identity changed. Life served me again into a different role. So the message I clearly want to make is that you're ever evolving, you're always changing, but you have to own into that and know that it's going to be better. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
And you can't resist the process.
You can't resist it. The more you resist it, you're like holding back the forces that are coming at you to help you instead of forcing them to stay away. That could be destructive to you. And then we go through maybe a self-destruction process where we are so hard on ourselves mentally and second guessing ourselves and wondering, is this it? It's never it. There's always more, but you have to allow life to unfold, like I said, in front of you, and stop stopping life. Life's going to throw things at you. And, currently where I am in my life now, I'm extremely happy. I mean, I've got, we talked about before, my son took his own life in May of 2020, and most people will crumble and fall to the ground, but I will survive. I will survive. Yeah. I'm not going to let anything hold me back. That was a huge breakthrough for me. It was a breaking point. I was at rock bottom. What do I do now? I have 3 other children that I've got to be here for, and I have to be a good example for them and a good example to everybody around me to know that life will carry on. Yes. So life's going to throw a lot at you, and you're going to have your ups and downs. But when you feel that something needs to change, whether you buy a one-way ticket to Brazil, whether you quit your job and just start all over again and go into something else, it's having that breakthrough that I am meant for more. I was born with a purpose. I have a reason why I'm here. Stop trying to figure out what it is and let your natural talents, your natural ability to give whatever it is that you love to the world.
I love it, Karen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this. It's been an amazing episode, everybody. We hope that you've gotten a lot out of this episode on breakthroughs. You can see us processing all of the different things.
Yeah.
Have the honest conversation with yourself to live your truest expression.
Always.
Thank you so much. Peace and love. We'll see you next time.